San Diegans are being asked to use less water. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Marcella Lee.
I'm Carlo Cicchetto. The San Diego County Water Authority just activated its Level 1 water shortage contingency plan yesterday. The board is asking everyone to voluntarily reduce water use by 10%.
News 8's Heather Hope spoke to the Water Resources Manager and has tips for all of us to conserve.
Here at Cuyamaca College at the Water Conservation Garden, they know all about conserving. And with that Level 1 activation now enacted, the San Diego County Water Authority wants San Diegans to do their part.
Using what you have efficiently and not wasting.
In support of Governor Gavin Newsom's water conservation efforts after California's 2 record dry years, the San Diego County Water Authority activated its Level 1, or voluntary conservation, of its water shortage contingency plan.
We're trying to achieve a 15% to be consistent with the governor's request for 15% voluntary conservation.
The good news is that San Diego County is already ahead in the conservation game.
In San Diego, everyone's done a great job of conserving over the years. Looking back to 1990 to the present, people have really cut their per person water use in half.
But now, as everyone is urged to step it up, San Diegans can help by cutting down outdoor and indoor water use.
Running a full load of laundry, full load of dishes, shorter showers, those are easy things to do.
Also watering a garden less and turning off sprinklers.
After we just got some rain, it's turned off our irrigation clock, so hopefully everybody's doing that.
The Water Conservation Garden Director of Horticulture, Paul Redeker, gives tips to reduce water, like adjusting sprinkler nozzles.
These are high efficiency, they're stream type. They're bigger droplets and they shoot the water into the landscape, so they land, either shoot through the plants or they land on the ground rather than flying through the air.
Paul shows which types of plants to put in the ground, to levels of mulch, and using turf instead of grass.
I wanted to show you how easy it is to move a spray head, a nozzle in.
As a way to prevent water runoff, here's how to shift a spray head at least 24 inches from the curb or sidewalk.
You're going to find a threaded pipe down below. With a few connectors, you just extend it into the landscape. You got to dig the hole, that's the tough part.
How long should Californians have to conserve water?
The governor, there was no end date to his emergency drought proclamation, so we will look at it month by month and see how each of the retail water agencies in the region do.
And for more questions and tips, here at the Water Conservation Garden, they will have a Fall Plants Festival on Saturday, November 13th from 9 to 2. Heather Hope, News 8.
A drought emergency has led to a move to conserve water.
Yeah, Chief Meteorologist Carlene Chaves joins us here early with more on where we stand compared to the rest of the state on this issue. Carlene?
Well, compared to the rest of the state, when you're talking about drought conditions, we're actually at a moderate reading. You can see that the rest of the state is still in that extreme, exceptional range, and that is going to continue, also talking about severe as well. Closing in on us, we were at a moderate range, and now we're talking more of getting into that severe, and that's because we have been dealing with dry conditions. Don't let your guard down because we have had a wet start to this water year. It has been nice, but we still have a long road ahead of us. So taking a look at where we stand when it does come to our recent rainfall, it's been a beneficial rainfall because we typically talk about Santa Ana winds and dry conditions around this time of the year. But we have had some beneficial rainfall. But the thing is, going into the rest of this year and into next year, we're dealing with La Nina conditions, and that is more favorable for above seasonal temperatures and also below seasonal precipitation. So we'll go ahead and take a look at your complete forecast. Let's also talk about Halloween as well coming up. Back to you, Marcella.
All right, Carlene, thank you. An investigation is underway tonight into a deadly crash that happened in Claremont. A motorcycle and a car collided just before 4 o'clock today on Balboa Avenue near Genesee. We're sad to report to you that the motorcyclist did die there at the scene. So far, we don't have any other details about this crash. That stretch of Balboa between Mount Alafan and Genesee is expected to be shut down in both directions through the evening, so if you're planning to head that way, try to avoid that area.
Sandag just approved a road usage tax that would charge San Diego drivers 4 cents for every mile they drive.
This money would help pay for road improvements and free public transit for everyone by the year 2030.
Despite today's vote, the mileage tax plan still has to go through several more steps before being finalized. News 8's Shannon Handy has more on that and how San Diego drivers are responding. Shannon?
The point of this per mile fee is to help make up for lost gas tax revenue, in part because more people are driving electric vehicles. Now, even though it is merely a proposal at this point, the public is voicing their strong opinions.
The vehicle mileage tax is a punitive, and I want to emphasize the word punitive, user end tax that really targets the wrong people.
Dozens of people took part in a virtual meeting Friday to voice their opinions about Sandag's $160 billion transportation plan, which includes a 4-cent per mile tax for San Diego drivers.
I think that's kind of taxation without representation. And also there's a lack of accountability there because we don't see where our money is going.
Small changes like fees of using the road, and I know those can still be punitive, are nothing compared to the kind of change that we will see with climate change that we are seeing.
How mileage will be tracked is still being figured out. As for the charge, which is still in the proposal stage, Sandag says it would help fund San Diego's transit future, which would include more bike lanes, wider freeways, and free public transit for everyone by the year 2030.
We want to make public transit free and invest in a transportation system where we have true alternatives so that you don't have to drive your car everywhere.
These documents show the proposed projects, for example, a bikeway connecting Interstates 815 and State Route 94 in 2025, as well as several freeway corridor projects by 2050. Sandag officials believe a tax per mile fee would bring in $19 billion by 2050 and is needed to offset a decline in gas tax fees since more people have turned to electric cars. Proponents say the plan, while bold, is needed to combat climate change. Chula Vista Mayor Mary Salas sits on the Sandag board.
The future doesn't look good unless we get a handle on climate.
Meanwhile, opponents, including board member and Poway Mayor Steve Voss, feel it's too expensive and unfair.
A tax which is going to increase everybody's cost of living, whether they drive or not.
For that driver's tax to actually pass, it would have to go through either the state legislature or a ballot measure, and even at that point, it would not go into effect until 2030.
Thank you, Shannon. Climate change protesters want Chase Bank customers to move their money. Today, a group took over the sidewalk outside the Chase Bank downtown on West Broadway, spreading their message with signs and chalk art. They claim Chase Bank is the #1 funder of the fossil fuel industry, contributing $250 billion to production and exportation of fossil fuels in the past 4 years.
The U.S. Justice Department is in talks to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to each child and parent who was separated at the border under a Trump-era practice of splitting families. The Wall Street Journal first reported that the government was considering payments of around $450,000 to each person affected. That amount is reportedly still being discussed. About 5,500 children were split from their parents under the practice.
Any progress for a bipartisan infrastructure bill in the president's Build Back Better framework won't be made before next week at the earliest. The House and Senate were not in session today.
As Skylar Henry reports, President Biden is in Europe one day after he made a last-ditch effort to unite his party around a path forward.
The White House continues to push the $1.75 trillion Build Back Better framework.
Now we have in front of us a historic opportunity in this very moment.
The latest plan includes the Democrats' top social spending priorities like universal preschool, an extended child tax credit, affordable housing, and it boasts a $500 billion investment in climate change initiatives, which the president hoped to tout at the UN climate conference in Glasgow, Scotland next week.
The United States is back to wanting to be a leader in the movement to address climate change.
But congressional Democrats remain gridlocked on the path forward over the social spending and bipartisan physical infrastructure bills, with some already expressing disappointment over slashed proposals.
What are the things that I wish were in this package? I got a long list, but paid leave, it breaks my heart.
AARP released a statement saying, "We're outraged it doesn't lower prescription drug prices," while Republicans continue to bash the social spending bill.
Trillions of dollars in spending, major expansions of government agencies, and even more inflation that will lead to higher costs.
Some House progressives say they're not sure all 50 Senate Democrats are on board.
We need a little bit more than an IOU.
The bill is passed.
Congress passed an extension on surface transportation funding before Sunday's deadline, then adjourned, pushing off votes to next week at the earliest. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
The White House says the Build Back Better bill will be fully paid for in part through taxes on the wealthiest corporations and individuals. Business Roundtable, a nonprofit consisting entirely of business professionals, says higher taxes would, quote, seriously undermine U.S. growth.